Of our living television. You're welcome again today on your favorite program, Nigeria Today. I know for some time, about a week or so now, we've all been having issues of the moment. Today, we are bringing you our program, Nigeria Today. And I'm glad you're there watching your favorite station. And today, as usual, I have a wonderful analyst in the house who are going to help us analyze some of these issues that is also trending in our national dailies and so on. So today we are looking at NLC and TUC insist on indefinite strike. Away from that, federal government invites organized labor for a meeting. And remember, Nigerians as always have speculations about these meetings with federal government. All right, Soludo suspend 4 principals across the state. Zamfara state government accuses federal government of negotiating with terrorists. House of Representatives sets to probe police for extortion of money with POS. PDP says to probe Nyesowike. A group has called on Governor Alex Oti to make public his indigeneity. These and many more we'll be looking at today. And as usual, I have in the house with me a man who is versed in his knowledge and also has had accumulated knowledge, not just about the current affairs of this country. He is a historian, he's also a televangelist, he's also a political affairs analyst and public affairs analyst. And in the studio with me is Comrade Nnamdi Lekwachi. Comrade, welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me join you. A good day, viewers.
All right. NLC, that is Nigerian Labour Congress, and Trade Union Congress threatened to commence indefinite strike on Tuesday, the 3rd day of October 2023. They said they are tired of federal government unfulfilled promises. Yes, Comrade Nnamdi. Okay, I want you to take it together because the federal government has equally invited organized labor. On that same day, they are supposed to commence this strike indefinite action. And then what do you think we expect? There have been so many speculations about this invitation by the federal government. And then what do you think? And then these people are insisting that on Tuesday they are going to commence. What do you think we expect?
Well, you see, one of the things we have to remark about the organized labor, they talk about the NLC, that's the Labour Congress and other affiliate unions, including TUC and what have you. You see that one thing in the marketplace, lack of predictability. You cannot predict whether this strike will go to plan or it will not go as planned. So that be the case. But I think we've had a couple of instances or times in the past when NLC will threaten strike, and then one thing or the other will actually happen, making them unable to embark on industrial action. In most cases, and then recently being a court injunction coming from National Industrial Court, always happening in that way, that the labor union will say we are embarking on strike, want to drive home our demand, and this will be the problem. But what we are looking at is the picture of what is ahead, and it was named the mother of all strikes, and they say if they embark on this strike, in fact it will affect virtually all the sector, you understand, and it doesn't bode well. It bodes ill for a time like this and for what Nigerians are passing through. But then, unfortunately, I think a lot of underhanded dealings the government had been involved in, not being sincere, not coming out straight, even in the past. I remember vividly when we discussed the removal of subsidy, oil subsidy, or subsidy on oil. I did say that it will create a lot of problems, including industrial disputes as we are having it now, because the president, in announcing the end of that inaugural address, to me it was not thought through, and that's my personal opinion. It was not thought through because at that point the president had not consulted his economic team, his cabinet, and we don't even know who and who were his advisors. So it was a one-man decision. So why would that be foisted on Nigerians? And I did say that in any case, if the president had met 2023 budget that did not provide for subsidy beyond June, what was required was for him to just instigate. In fact, let's have that onward transmission to National Assembly of a request seeking for what? Seeking to have amendment to the budget, because the budget is an act appropriation, so you can amend and say let's subsidize but a little, let us gradually remove subsidy. You don't remove subsidy entirely. So that was the problem. We are now seeing how it is affecting labor and even other factors of production. And what do I mean? I discussed here the other day the concept of mobility of labor. For me to come to this station, there was a mobility somewhere. Either I moved myself or vehicle brought me. But where subsidy was removed and one of the worst hit sectors became transportation sector, it simply means that workers could no longer mobilize themselves to work. So they are saying, since you remove this, review our salary and then give us good working conditions and then create allow us to also access palliatives. But unfortunately, the same federal government has actually given 70 billion to some 469 persons, lawmakers who had been on recess since 8th of August. They had been on recess.
There was also an addendum to that.
Yes, a token. A token was actually, a holiday token was also involved. Now, you just imagine people who the law say must sit for 181 days in a year. I can tell you that in 2021, they sat for 66 days. Yet they collected all the things, all the salaries, emoluments, including hardship allowance, furniture allowance, and what have you, upon disengagement, you understand, or upon severance. But unfortunately, we don't treat our workers well. So the workers are now telling you, we are driving home our demands, we are going on strike, whether or not it cripples the economy is not our business. Since our interest is not of utmost importance to you, then we will shut down the economy. And the implication of that is that where we are today, we are talking about 24% inflation, over 40% unemployment rate, and then we are having other economic problems, even to the extent that the executive, the federal government did not openly come out to refute it as it usually does, that they had now reinjected subsidy in the system. So it is a huge one. So I think in the interest of Nigerians, the federal government might want to reconsider its views, and then let's see whether organized labor will actually join that conversation.
Yes, I know sometime last week this platform also, we talked about these, the TUC, we're talking about the president of the country returning, coming back to Nigeria, and will announce the new package, the new minimum wage package for workers. Now, if we are talking about these TUC and Nlc, what happens to others who are not working? It's like this thing, the Nlc and TUC is just all about, government workers and so on. What about those who are not employed, those who are not, who are not working, that don't receive any stipend from anywhere? It looks as if they are the most hit in this oil removal subsidy.
Yes.
Now, assuming the president now promises, give them a mouth-watering offer that will make them call out the strike. That's for workers. What about others?
Yes, thank you so much. You see, and that is why it is quite horrible. At a country like this, we do not have reliable database. We don't even have records of dependent population. That's what we call dependent population. It will include the aged, the sick, those who are having one infirmity or the other, and for that reason can no longer perform or carry out any meaningful economic activity. Then the aged, then the unemployed. And this is when you begin to talk about the palliative you are talking. I keep saying it. It's misplacement of priority. There should be a database, a reliable one, through which you supply or you provide basic needs to people who are not economically buoyant. You understand? But unfortunately, we don't have such records here. And that is why the palliative distribution, you see how disorganized it was. And then nobody is even talking about it again. the government brought 3,000 bags of rice to Abia State, when we know that only one local government area can consume that in a day. You understand? Only one local government area in Abia, whether Abia South or not, can consume that in a day. So how long can that continue, and how sustainable was that? That's by the way. Then talk about those who are not working. And that is one thing about the Labour Congress itself. You see, it's a pressure group. It's also an interest group. It's seeking the interest. It's seeking to see the maximization of their own interest. That's giving conducive working environment, and then good working condition being enforced for people who are in that very group. But unfortunately, those who are even owners of private businesses who are outside, except if you are registered, you understand? And if you are registered, there is what they call the principle of mutatis mutandis. Mutatis mutandis simply means that what is done here should be done there. The problem we have is not just about labor. It's about even the private sector. Some of the private sector firms you are seeing are not affiliated. They are not affiliates of labor. And that is why you will see discrimination in pay, even in most cases, casualization of workforce. If you go to banks, I'm sorry to mention them. If you go to banks, you see that yes, you also see that even if labor is saying pay 30,000 naira, some persons who work as cleaner or whatever, they may not earn up to that amount. Then even for holding degree, who are holding degree, some of them will receive lesser than that amount, because in most cases they have been casualized, and the work they are doing is indirect. They are not directly employed by the institution. So it's also part of the problem. Then again, like I did say, the labor union has one interest: to promote the working condition or to promote the agenda of the working class, not those people we are even talking about. And that is why it is very important that to catch these ones and address poverty, government must have a reliable data, not the one we heard under Bulgari. They told us about social register, how they were able to do CCT, conditional cash transfer. And at the end of the day, we even heard about the Anchors Brewers project. At the end of the day, 1.1 trillion naira was actually shared amongst people. Only 400 and something billion naira had been recovered so far. You will see that when you begin to look at this thing, and you look at Shopee, subsidy reinvestment program under Jonathan, you look at Fadama 1, Fadama 2, Fadama 3, you look at many other intervention programs we've carried out, SIPs, you see that we've actually wasted money.
All right. Now, talking about the private sector and so on, just like when you mentioned the bank, I think a very good friend of mine who is a very senior bank official told me in confidence that most of the people, graduates, they are casual workers.
Yes,
they call them marketers. And then they are recruited by a private organization.
Yes.
And now the salary goes to this private organization.
Yes.
They'll cut theirs and give them.
Yes.
And
I'm aware. I became aware of that.
Now that the NUC is embarking on this, what is the fate of these ones? It's like they are not captured in this.
You see, there was a time the National Assembly went into that matter, and I think a bill was actually debated about this casualization of workers. They make these workers casual. They are not directly answerable. In fact, they are not directly working under the banks or for them. You have outsourcing firms that will is a sort of agency that will actually provide workforce. Be also involved with training them, equipping them. Then the banks will now pick, or they will supply the banks, and the banks will now pay these firms. And that's, to me, I don't know what to call it if not crime. You understand? That is calculation of work, and it is against ILO charter and laws. If people don't know, International Labour Organization is even older than the United Nations. It came in 1919, following the end of the First World War. And one of the things it tries to project is to do what? To make sure that industries, labor unions, and other labor players, every person is carried along in terms of what? Welfare package. I think, and it was in 1942 that in America the labor board introduced equal pay for everybody, whether you are a woman, whether you are a boy or whatever. But unfortunately, you see that we have laws here, but we don't talk about them. And this practice is happening. and it is discriminatory in fact, in all its entirety. Calculation of workers. So I think the states should now begin to domesticate. I'm talking about the state governments. I'm also using this opportunity to appeal to our governor, Nlc Tuc, and other states. But then there was a time I heard Governor Okezi was talking about it some time ago.
Yeah.
Yes. So they should actually, all the states should actually domesticate this, so that it is better that banks are working with fewer persons and paying them better than bring 30 persons or even 100, 300 persons and then place them in a condition of underemployment, not unemployment now. They are employed, but they are underemployed because their salaries or their take-home salaries cannot take them home. You see that they are working, but they are still dependent.
Yes. Okay, now talking about that, looking at the exploitative nature, because of our time, let's just take this before we go over to something else. Looking at the exploitative nature of the Nigerian private sector employers, then you talked about the ILO. Then is there nothing that can be done to ensure that all are carried along? As we talk about, as we speak right now,
yes,
there are people who are still paid 10,000, 20,000,
exactly, even
in
15,000. Yes,
private organizations.
I think we have Ministry of Labour. Most times I begin to ask myself, what does this Ministry of Labour even do? We also have the Nigerian Directorate of Employment. So the most important thing is to set the template. And what is the template? Understanding that times are hard and that Nigerians have fallen on hard times, and that family finances, household finances are shrinking. You bring about legislation. Talk about, we are still grappling with minimum wage. Some states are saying they cannot pay 30,000 naira. But now listen, some of those states, in fact 22 states out of 36 in Nigeria still pay their governors, their former governors. They are on lifetime, even like I said here. So people like former governor Ojo Carlo, Theodore Ahamefuloji, okay, because of a certain, and I'll call it obnoxious law. That's what it is. They are still receiving salary when pensioners, when workers are still fighting. And then in a state like ours, gratuity stopped coming to workers by 2002. That's 21 years ago. Then and then some persons who had been governors or whatever are still receiving money. So where does it function? If you look at the outlay, if you see the outlay, if you look at the payment, the pay package of National Assembly members, you will cry. Even the president and the vice president, they have what they call hardship allowance. What is the meaning of that? They have hardship allowance. They have severance package. That is, upon completion of their tenure, they are paid certain amount of money to disengage them. That's when they are not re-elected. Now, before they assume office, they are giving money, what they call inauguration expenses. It is only in Nigeria that we and that is why when you begin to look at it, you begin to understand the point of labor unions. You begin to share in their sympathy. You begin to share in their agony that these persons have been for far too long discriminated upon, and they are Nigerians. You understand? And there we are talking about people. We pay people. I'm talking about National Assembly members who they are required to, you see, work for 181 days in a year, to sit for 181 days in a year, and in most cases they don't complete that. You understand? So this is why when you look at
and
it,
they go home with their
full payment. You don't even owe them, and you still vote 134 billion naira like they did 2 or 3 years ago to refurbish the house. The next also capture another billions to refurbish the complex of the National Assembly. So to me, I think when we talk about cutting cost of governance, I think if we are able to do this, people had actually come out to advocate part-time legislature, and it's not bad anymore. You understand? And that is why you can't have seasoned people, experts who understand lawmaking go there. That's why you keep having people who you know what you're trying to turn out. People who will go there to sleep, including those who will go there and not even. I know a lawmaker in Abia State here. You know, we have a lot of them, former governors and former and incumbent senators. I've not seen him for once stand up. You understand? Present a bill. But such persons are all here.
All right, there are much to talk about this, but let's go over to the Anambra State Governor, Professor Soludo. It was here we talked about the free education.
Yes.
He gave to Anambra, the Anambrarians from nursery to JSS 3.
Yes.
And today, as we speak, 4 principals have been suspended for disobedience to this free education policy to the state government. And then the question will be, why will the principal of the school, how does this non-payment of school fees and so on affect them when they still receive their salaries? Why would they want to disobey the state government?
Yes, I know in most schools, the principals and some teachers too have actually converted the students to, would I say, automated teller machine. Yes, they have converted them to ATM. Yes, and then even when Governor Okalo announced his own free education, you see, there was an argument that came up: tuition and school fees. You understand? Argument came up that time. I think I said, if you are buying books, the cost of buying books now became higher. You understand? The cost of books and other things you need for academic instruction became higher. But that's by the way. In Nigeria, we have this tendency. We do not even understand the policy. I think by virtue of UBE, the law is that every Nigerian should be entitled to that level, and that is what we want to call basic education. From primary 1 to JSS 3 is the basic education, and that was what was actually captured in universal basic education laws when they existed. Obasanjo met the law, and then every Nigerian should have that right. And Governor Okezi Bazoum, when he was governor, I think in his second tenure, he did something, although people were still fighting it. But he divided the education ministry into 2. You understand? Yes. One, basic education, and then I think the other one too.
The ministry had 2 commissioners.
It had 2 commissioners, saying for those who will be completing secondary school and university and postgraduate degree, this one is your ministry. Then those other ones for basic. Yes, basic. And then it is important because the labor law, in most cases, the law of labor is that persons from the ages of 16 through 65 can actually be employed to work. So you see that by the time someone is doing JS3, they are nearing that 16, 15 in most cases. Although now kids leave school at the age of 15, 14, 16, they have graduated. Now, if you look at it, that they are nearing that age and then may not be able to further their education. We are saying this is the level of education that is basic in Nigeria. You understand? So any person who disobeys that by way of, you see, there are corrupt elements in the system. We must not take it away. See, in Nigeria, I know that there was a time the government of this state said books were not to be paid for. In Ariada market, those books were being sold, but the government had actually paid for them. You see where it was written also not to be sold. You see also that it was also being sold by people who are at various education board. It's unfortunate, and that is something we must talk about. Then let me even bring it down to this. You see, I became aware of this for the measure as a young man. There was a Bible we were using when we were in spiritual union. Yes. They wrote it not to be sold in Africa.
Not for sale. Yeah.
Not for sale, not to be sold in Africa. And then people are still selling the Bible there. And then you see the Bible written, presented to, it means it should be a gift. It has been given to you to give to others. What was the Bible just presented to? Something like gift inscription. You understand what I'm saying now? Just like there is what we call gift inscription. You write, I give you this to encourage you to read the Bible, to grow in wisdom and word of God. Unfortunately, they sell all those things. So in Nigeria, these are the tendencies we have here. And then those four principals, I've not heard from them, so I will not be too fast to condemn them. May have in one way or another insisted that a certain thing be paid.
Yes, but Soludo was specific about it. Said yes. Nothing
should be paid for.
Nothing should be paid for.
Exactly.
From nursery to JSS.
And that's the basic education.
Said absolutely nothing.
Yes.
And who knows?
One or two fees they have. One or two fees they may introduce. They may even tell you to pay PTA fee. A lot of things they even talk about there. PTA fee, PE fee. That's physical education. The child is going to do exercise and is paying money for the physical exercise they are going to to be
Even handwork.
Even handwork. They pay money for handwork too. So a lot of things.
Okay, let us also take this before we go on break. The governor of Zamfara State, Daud Lawal, had in a statement by the spokesperson alleged that some federal government agencies were secretly negotiating with bandits terrorizing the state. He came out with this, he didn't just stop at that. He said if the federal government denies this, that has a proof and evidence to show this. And then talking about these terrorists that is terrorizing that area, we had so many stories, both kidnapping and those that were killed equally in that same state. And then how can the federal government be negotiating with them even without involving the government, assuming you want them to stop?
I think it's unfortunate. The federal government will say they are not open to negotiating with terrorists.
With terrorists, yes.
But though they have not prescribed, though they have not actually classified this group as terrorists, the ones they are calling bandits, the faceless bandits, it shows to us clearly, markedly, it's become evident and obvious that the federal government is not sincere in fighting terrorism or in fighting insecurity and the menace thereof. And I'll back it up with fact. There was a point that there was a time when Erufai made a speech. He made a startling revelation. He said, "We know where these people are." Erufai said, "They know where they are." You understand? And then this same Erufai had actually called for negotiation at a point. Now you see that at a point, the former governor of Zamfara State was also negotiating with them. The former governor of Zamfara State too was also talking about either Zamfara or I've forgotten the state now. Was actually negotiating with them. It simply means that the apparatuses of state security have collapsed, and Nigeria is becoming a failed state, whether we want to believe or not. There are ungoverned spaces being inhabited, being administered in terms of taxation by forces other than the government. That's non-state actors. We remember vividly here, we discussed it here, that to access their farms, farmers in the north had to pay, and those who risked not paying had been kidnapped, creating economic displacement along this value chain that farmers no longer go to farm. So we have this issue, and Nigerian government is not even serious in dealing with this. If you ask, it may have to do with the northern part of the country. But now take for instance what happens in the southeast. I regret and I lament and I condemn killings as they are happening. The so-called unknown government. Now the killing of any security agency is unlawful. But each time a security agent has been killed or their vehicle set ablaze, the sufferers are not even those who had killed them. The community where that thing happened will be sacked. Houses will be burnt, including institutions will be destroyed, even traditional institutions. You understand? But in the north, these things happen, and you begin to wonder, where is the justice? Now the federal government had done worse thing than negotiation. You understand? The federal government had actually pardoned under Buhari. You understand? These ones said they were trying to reintegrate them into the Nigerian society, and we saw the colossal effect that had. It took a toll on our military, and then the war we are fighting against terrorism. So I think it's been what it is. The federal government has not been sincere, but because if you're fighting terrorism as we have to do, we have to be more transparent. We have to be intentional. We have to be more organized. We also have to be committed. This is a country where 44 intelligence reports were released concerning one facility. That's the Kuje Custodial Center. They said that facility would be attacked. 44 intelligence reports released from the intelligence community, and there was nothing done. The so-called bandits came and had a field day. Even Boko Haram elements or so, they broke in, released, and their own disappeared. Now compare that with what happened in Owerri, and this is my personal opinion. In Owerri, their places is close to DSS facility, which is also close to government house, and which also has a military establishment or military formation close. We were told that some criminal elements, by that time the unknown government phenomenon has not begun. broken and freed their members who were in detention. Now, there was no reinforcement sent. They were not beaten back. How does it even look like? In most cases, we become so confused that we are asking for such a thing, for a thing of such magnitude to happen. A state actor must be aware.
That's right.
And committing, you understand, either by omission or by inaction, contributing to the success of such operations. And it's been happening, you understand? And that's why you begin to hear that they are negotiating with terrorists. That they are negotiating with terrorists and begin to wonder. You understand? So to me, in fact, at the point where I also read a report where they said for releasing those Chibok girls, they released at a time under Buhari, some terrorists from who were arrested, they also in fact that it was a prisoner exchange or swap, but the government came out to deny it. But then who knows?
Okay. Looking at it, the federal government yesterday said it didn't mandate anyone to negotiate with bandits on their behalf. But talking about this, when you talk about negotiation, that is to say these people are not unknown gunmen. That means they are known. Their contacts, how do you negotiate with people you do not know?
Yeah.
You don't have their contacts. That is to say they have their contacts, and so like federal government now is saying they didn't appoint any person or mandate any person to negotiate on their behalf. I think what the federal government should have done is to get the proof from the governor, from Governor Dauda, and then find out who are these agents, who are these government agents, and what were they negotiating for. I think that is
yes.
What
yes, it is where the balance is now to getting to know these persons and who actually sent them on whose behalf they work, because we have a lot of armchair diplomats now negotiating. You understand, through illegal channel for the government and the like. And I did say some time ago that people like the Muslim cleric Gumi and the rest of them, we've had them come out. They have gone to where these bandits are. They have talked with them. They have spoken with them. They have extracted certain level of commitment from them, saying if they do this, we will drop our weapons. You understand? Then who was Gumi working for? People called for his arrest and then interrogation. No, nothing happened. But before that time, Obidea May Lafia of blessed memory, God rest his soul, came out to indict the Nigerian military, saying there is this understanding the military has with these guys. You understand? And he made a lot of revelations, and then it wasn't long we lost him. That's by the way. Then when you look at the security landscape itself, you see, it is only in Nigeria that intelligence will keep failing, even where it's supposed to succeed. Former Minister of Transport, Amechi, said during Federal Executive Council, he tendered a letter before a contract paper before the council saying they should allow him to install gadgets. You understand? Whether CCTV or anything. In fact, intelligence gadgets along the railway track.
Yes.
The government stood that down. They didn't do that. And then when the attack happened, my own worry was that even a particular female doctor died in that very ugly incident. We lost people. And the federal government started talking. And you see that the president will now release his statement. And I'm happy that people has not released that kind of statement. They will release that statement that the president commiserates, the president condemns this dastardly, this ungodly, this unwholesome, yes, this unwholesome, this ungodly, this dastardly attack, and that the president will do whatever. We should be intentional, like I said before, be preemptive. In military, there is power to communication and and then intelligence, ability to coordinate intelligence. You understand? You preempt. You see, what I mean preemption, I don't even say prevention, I say preempt. You go before they come. And that is how to beat the determinant. Because what we are talking about is just an asymmetrical warfare. The person fighting with you does not have the kind of surveillance and sophistication you have. But unfortunately, we are being beaten every other day. So I think it's in our interest to up the ante and then see what we can do.
All right, wonderful viewers, we're going to go on a very short break, and when we come back, Nigeria Today continues. Please sit tight and don't go away. We will be back shortly. You're still there watching your favorite station and also our program, Nigeria Today. Moving on, the House of Representatives on Tuesday resolved to set up an ad hoc committee to investigate the alleged forceful collection of 500,000 by some police officers on 8 July 2023 from travelers along Owerri Onosha Expressway, Onosha Express Road, using money point POS. A chieftain of the PDP and director of sorry, there is a little mix-up there. And the House of Representatives are setting up this. They've equally called on the Inspector General of Police to ensure that when fully discovered, that these people will be used to set as an example of this. And comrade,
yes,
you know, before now, even in this city, Aba, we know a certain branch of the Nigerian police that goes about embarrassing young men in the name of Yahoo and so on. The first thing they do is collect their phone number, search how. In fact, it happened to the son of the CEO here, yes, St. Moses, the son who was going back to school.
Yes.
And they started some money using their POS and whatever to take that money. When they discovered the man is a lawyer and they called them, within 24 hours they returned that money, which means these things are happening. This one happened here,
yes,
and we saw it. So, what's your take on this?
I think it's as clear as day. It is as clear as daylight that such a thing is happening. And I'll begin by also drawing your attention to a quota, a circular that was released, something like a memo, just an instruction, a command by the IG of police, December 2021, saying that police formation should not be seen in any road, including those in the southeast. But I can tell you that that order was just only on paper.
It never existed. The order was not. The southeast was not part
go from Owerri. The other day I traveled to Nnewi for a friend's late mother's burial. I lost count of the number of roadblocks, the so-called checkpoint. And what are they doing there? They are extortion, nothing more. And you see, due to this extortion, do you know one of the things extortion does? And the other day, Honorable Abanim talked about it. Honorable Abanim said extortion drives away investors. When you have these gun-toting police officers here and there, everywhere in the southeast, that no reasonable investor will come in and feel secure. You feel we are at war. That's true. But in addition to that, there is something extortion encourages. Extortion also encourages lawlessness. That the drivers are now aware that they don't need to renew the papers. And that is also, the police there, I'm saying it is my opinion, they are obeying the federal government. When their activities encourage indecency, you understand? Disobedience to traffic laws. You see, the majority of the commercial vehicles, I'm not talking about private vehicles, Majority of the commercial vehicles lying will pay 100 naira and they don't have the papers complete. You see that the last time the man had a driver's license was over 10 years. But he have been paying 100 naira to the police. The money he will have given to the federal government. Even the same thing happens with people. Their car licenses and other particulars have expired long ago. They will keep paying 100 naira, 200 naira to the police. They will return, they pay 200 naira, they pay 100 naira. And the police are not even interested in them. They are interested in private vehicles. A young man now who happens to maybe wear dread or have a tattoo or other body marks or whatever, or even piercings, and they see him profiling, they will give a wrong profiling of being a Yahoo person. And before you know it, you are even being beaten. You understand? Although in most cases, we should also admit that road users are also stubborn. The police will tell them to pull by the roadside. They begin to do what? You know, it is our culture here. We don't push it away. But what I'm saying is that the police, in most cases, they also aid lawlessness. When they are supposed to be law enforcers, when they are supposed to be executing peace and order, when a driver understands that not having any of his papers, he can pay 100 naira, and the police are not even interested in taking the papers. No. Whether the car is a stolen vehicle or in most cases, so they are just interested in 100 naira. The same thing with tricyclists, that's KK operators. And a certain study say that within a particular number of years, they mentioned that the police wrecked in billions. And I'm aware that during COVID, police went out of their way. The order was stop illegal movement. Police was now, in fact, in most cases, it was reported that even in Anambra, the police opened the border and will allow people who were coming into the state at night to come in. They pay 2,000, they pay 3,000. They didn't even mind whether social distancing had been followed or not in those vehicles. So it is what it is that the police sees the Southeast as a place, as a lucrative spot in the business of policing, and that has lowered the policing standard.
Okay, look at this, about 500,000 naira extorted. And then one begins to ask, do the police move about with
POS and other gadgets? Yes.
Because extorting the money right there and then.
You can acquire that.
Yes,
in the name of business.
Yes.
The bank can give you that, in the name of business, and then help you code it and then do whatever. Those who are even the owners of pub houses, as in pubs, hotels, they have it now. Boutiques and then other
filling stations,
they don't have it. So it's just a common thing now. And unfortunately, and I'll tell you something. You see, and I'll mention, when SARS was still there, SARS.
Yes.
SARS. This is part of the policing culture SARS introduced. So they will first intimidate young men, especially young men. They will first intimidate them and now order them to make transfer. I have been stopped by a SARS agent once. Yes, my friend, we were two. So they asked us the vehicle particulars. We showed them. They inspected the vehicle, which was not bad. They now saw that the plate at the rear, the plate number at the rear wasn't the same thing we the one at the front. But there was also an affidavit to cover the loss. So they asked us about, we said we have affidavit, we showed them affidavit, we showed them everything, manifesto, everything. Do you know what they told us? That the car was stolen and that we have to produce purchasing receipt. You can imagine. So how can someone steal a car and then go to court to swear affidavit that a particular thing in that car is missing and that this one was just a tentative thing? And we ended at the station. But at the same time, after everything, they now asked us, what do we do? I say, I'm a media person. This person say, I'm a teacher. What out ID class? They say, yeah. Say, teachers, they are owing. I got them, I think, I wouldn't know what to say, but I think cooler hands prevailed. Cooler hands prevailed. But now said, teachers, when they owe, and you are in another place, say that we not receive salary for some months, so but imagine what that would have been if they found out that we are business people, or we are even people who they feel they can actually extort. Many people have experienced that. How can you be asking someone on the road to produce the receipt to which they bought vehicle? The same receipt was what actually gave birth to chassis number, gave birth to other engine number, other numbers you see in the vehicle. But unfortunately, it is a system we are. So they see here as a place, as a lucrative place. And I have been, sorry to say it, but I know I'm on air. I have been privileged to be in a pub where, my goodness, a police officer was celebrating that they posted him out of the state. He went and influenced it. They brought him back. He was celebrating it, buying drinks for people to drink. So it is what it is. And then the National Assembly, this is not the first time, the National Assembly had actually come out to say that no roadblocks should be mounted in the southeast. But there are still roadblocks. Come down from Enugu to Aba. You wait for this south, you will wait for this place. You know that actually there is unwritten occupation of the southeast. And as far as I'm concerned, and I will say it, the southeast is under military jackboots. We are under jackboots of the military. You understand? We have a lot of encampments here and there. Now you ask yourself, with all these roadblocks, with all these military encampments here and there, we still have the problem of unknown government. We still have the problem of insecurity. So how is it happening? Yet I've applied Abuja Kaduna route, and I can tell you authoritatively that I did not see any military personnel on that road. But here, even at night, you will see them. You see the fire they make. They just make fire. It will be, you understand? They will make fire. You see them on the road, and then, oh my goodness.
All right, terrible. You know, last time we talked about this, we had a boy here, whose father brought to this station, how they were almost extorted. They kept him from 4 o'clock till 10. A boy of less than 18 years, a boy of I think 16 years. And they looked at the phone, there was no money. They had to release him around 10 o'clock and so on. And it's like, it's more here in the southeast.
It is more pronounced in the southeast, especially in Owerri, not Aba.
Aba here, they've started
in Owerri. I know what I'm saying. It is more pronounced in Owerri than Anambra. Then you didn't talk about Aba. I'll tell you something. I'm telling you the orders, the commands. Both the National Assembly had actually issued a proclamation that roadblocks should be dismantled. And again, there was a time the former IG said no person, no police officer should have right to encroach people's privacy to the point of asking their phones. They will not ask, they will bring the phone and they will order you to do what? To unlock the phone. You will unlock the phone and they will ask you to present your last transaction in the bank with your last bank transaction. When they see the balance, they begin to charge you. And they are doing this thing. Sometimes they are even drunk, having weapons, having gun. You understand? And that's why you see that people here, our understanding of policing is different. Yeah, yes. It is here that we say, I know follow 10,000. It is our understanding that the police can never be your friend. But unfortunately, the motto and slogan of the same police is your friend. Yes. You understand? And people now, due to the condition, now when you see bail bond, on top of it is bail is free. But we all know the attachments.
Not here.
Not here. You understand? People are arrested for even people are even arrested for what ordinarily you know that they may not have done.
So all right, let's move forward. The chieftaincy of the PDP and director of research and documentation of the party's presidential campaign council, PCC, Dr. Pedro Obaseki, has declared that it is time to sanction former governor of Rivers State, Nyesom Wike. Obaseki said Wike is a serial betrayer who formed the G5 that worked against PDP during the February 25 presidential election. Now talking about sanctioning Wike, is it not overdue? It's like the man is too powerful for the party.
Yes, I think we can.
Because look at the Kwakwaso that was announced the other day that the party is suspended.
Yes, and he has gone ahead to redesign the party logo. And he could have changed the name of the party anyway. Yes, I give it to, whenever it comes to 2023, I give it to Kwakwaso and Peter Obi. They led the popular movement, mass-based movement. You understand? To challenge the status quo. But that's by the way. What is happening in PDP, to me, it shouldn't be a news any longer. The PDP has told us that through Wike, that it doesn't even have the commitment to discipline errant members. You understand? Yes, there were also excesses on the part of the party. There were also excesses on the part of Wike too, and I will talk about the both. You see, what led to all this thing was just zoning, presidency. Wike hijacked, whether we like it or not, hijacked the structure of that party. That by 2018-2019, during the convention, he insisted it must be in River State. If not, he will pull out. And I'll tell you something, there are two states in Nigeria, two most economically viable states in Nigeria. One is Lagos, the other one is River State. And since we returned to democracy, the two states in 1990 had never been controlled by one party. And the resources of these states are used to fund either of the parties. Don't forget that Tinubu began in Lagos. Today he's the president. He began in Lagos. AD in 1999 Lagos State was one of the few places that priority.
Even when the PDP took over all the other states,
later it became AC, Action Congress. There it became ACN, Action Congress of Nigeria. When PDP took other southwestern states, Lagos stood alone. You understand? We now saw the alliances and the political permutation, all whatnot that played out, making the 2015 election go the way it did. Now, like I said before, one political party at the center has never been privileged to control these two states. And that was what PDP had been fearing. Because let me also say, if the person there now is actually coming from Wike's camp, so there is a movement you may make. You see that your treasure state going to the party at the center.
Yes.
You understand? That's what they fear, and that is my own personal understanding and judgment. But beyond that, Wike had carried out anti-party activities. One, Wike passed an order during the election that Debo should not be placed or not be put in certain places, and we know whom he was against. When Atiku came, I'm not sure Atiku never visited him. I'm not sure Atiku visited him, and then they had this problem. But we saw that he was hosting Peter Obi, Kwankwaso, Tinubu, and the rest, and was taking them to the place where he was going to commission projects. That was what Atiku was supposed to be doing.
Yes.
You understand? To help the party, to strengthen the party. Then he formed his so-called G5. Now, what actually happened? The zoning issue I was talking about. In the PDP, all the southern part of the country, all the geopolitical zones in the south, barring the southeast, had a shot at the presidency. Some had even had a vice and the president. Now, they talked about zoning, which was actually enshrined in the PDP, which is actually enshrined in the PDP's constitution. Wike said, PDP now said, it should not only be zoning, but micro zoning. That since the PDP has had a system where good longevity from the south to south, the place of Wike, and then Obasanjo from the southwest had actually had presidents. It was now the thought of the Igbo, the southeasterners, to also have. Wike was not comfortable with that because of the money he had rolled out or do that to support the party or to fund it. He now said it should be based on competence. And hearing the word competence, Atiku, you understand? Atiku joined. So we also have it played out. Now Wike formed his G5 and carried out a lot of anti-party. So PDP should be bold enough.
Yes.
You understand? The political landscape in Nigeria is changing, that it is tilting towards the people. If you look at the last election, you see that people were now supporting individuals based on capacity, based on conviction of past record. So PDP should begin to harmonize itself. It cannot continue having someone like Wike, who is, as we speak now, a member in a federal cabinet of APC-led government. Although we've had something like that in the past, where you have the likes of the late Minister of Power, Bola Ige, and the rest of them. But in this case, the party was not told to present someone. Wike, in fact, it's as good as that he has left the party.
Private arrangement.
Yeah.
All right. A group known as Southeast Voice has called on the governor of Abia State, Governor Nlc Tuc Oti, to declare his place of origin, Arochukwu Ongwa. He was advised to do this first to clear certain doubts, from Abians. Now, looking at that, we know that the governor of Abia State operates from Vosi Langwa as we speak. And there's also this rumor that he also have a similar place in Arochukwu and so on. And then this group has called on, for him to tell the Abians where is he from. Do you think this is necessary at this point?
It's not necessary if you ask me, and I will explain why. You see, it's not my duty to begin to pry up, to even begin to now see. Governor Nlc Tuc then made it clear. You understand? Yes, that he was running as an older person. He made it clear, and that was why he appointed someone from Arochukwu as his number 2. Even though there were some concerns raised during that time. You look at how the affinity, the closeness, Arochukwu and
sorry, before you continue, please, the phone line is open. You can call and make your contribution. 091 682 84994. I take it again. 091 682 84994. You can call us and make your contributions. Sorry, go ahead.
Yes, so I do not think. In fact, they are trying to raise something, and I think what the Americans call better politics. There was a time Barack Obama was being attacked by people like Trump and the rest of them, saying they are not Americans. You understand? Because of the ancestry, they are not Americans. And in the case like this, we are also witnessing the same thing. It is only in Nigeria that it is written in section 42, subsection 1 of the Nigerian Constitution, that nobody shall be discriminated upon based on the place they reside, their ethnicity, their religious affiliation, or other such things. But when it comes to politics, we need to talk about spoils system. To the victors belong the spoils of war. During and after election, in fact, I heard someone told me to my face, he said that they will not allow a particular man, a resident of Aba, who was actually seeking election as a legislator. He said they will not allow it to happen, that he is not from this part of the states. And I asked him, does he pay taxes? He said, yes, he has business now. I said, and he has been living here for a number of years. I said, yes. I said, do you know that some of us who, for example, now I'm saying it is, and this is my opinion, I am from Abia, from Bende precisely. But if you cumulatively, what I have spent there may not be up to 3 years. But I have lived the greater part of my life here. Yeah. And this is where I pay my tax. And then if sometimes I know, yes, that we all have sentiments, we all have emotions. But whenever I'm talking about Abia State, I'm envisaging Aba. The Abia State that works is one where Aba is working. And I'm saying it, and it's my personal opinion. So I think we should go beyond this. Unless we want to instigate that, then if they have any issue, they can approach the court. If there is any issue or in any case where the governor said, I am from here, and is believed to have been operating from there, you can approach the court. Maybe the documents he submitted with INEC or anything. But all things being equal, we know the governor, we also know the school he attended, Umba High School. And then we know how he actually came through rank to where he is.
Attending a particular school, do you think it is a yardstick to determine where?
Well, some people can't even present
the record of their school now. While you look
some people can no longer. Some people can no longer.
Something you said here. I also want you to also to consider that. You talked about the governance. Why at a point the likes of Atiku were not really ready to contest until Wike came up with his idea and said it should be the determinant should be
on competence.
And that was why now Atiku had to contest. Now, I think while they are asking where he's coming from, we have Abia North, we have Abia State. In fact, the Abia State political bloc is two: the old Bende and the old Aba. And then, for convenience sake, they now had Abia North and Abia North Central.
But I want to correct an impression.
Let me come down so that you take it at once. Which includes Omaya North, Omaya South, and Iguano. And then Abia South Central, which is Osisioma North, Osisioma, Iselangwa North and South. And then that is marriage of confidence. And now, I think it is important also to know where a particular person is contesting from. So that after his tenure, 4 years or 8 years, one can say, okay, these people have gone, it is the turn of this. That is why it looks as if the Igbos are marginalized here. So we should also put that into consideration.
I was putting it into perspective. Now listen, you see, what we follow here is what the Constitution says. It's a democracy, it's a constitutional democracy. There is no place in the Constitution, Odaba and Old Bende were mentioned. The Constitution, in terms of zoning, these are old structures. Senatorial zones, we have 3 senatorial zones here, and 8 House of Representatives, in fact 8 constituencies, 8 federal constituencies, and then 3 senatorial zones. Now, the senatorial zones we have, they are clear. Abia North, Abia Central, and Abia South. And I will say this, you see, if we believe so much in equity, we know we have the Ngwa in Abia Central. They are even more, in fact, they are more in population than the Umuahia people, the Iguano and the Umuahia makeup of that very structure. We also know that the Abia South entirely is the Ngwa. Now the Abia North is the Isukwato, Bende, and the rest of, yes, and the rest of them. Now, if we want justice based on the equity, the charter of equity, the past administration said it has ended. Remember, the past administration said it has ended. It has ended the charter of equity. Now, if we believe so much in justice, what ought to be done in other cities is that we should have 4 structures, and I'm coming. 1, if it is about rotation, Abia South will have. Then Abia Central is divided between the Ngwa and the Umuahia and the Iguano expression. So if Ngwa have 1 turn, they will have another turn. Then the North people will now do their own, meaning that in the 4, Ngwa should have 2. But unfortunately, people who were articulating didn't articulate it so wisely like this. They made it so divisive that people were saying, now, if Bende or the North had actually had since 2007, and you want to say you are putting it back here, bring it back here. And I saw that argument. But the most important thing for us should be, yes, Governor Oti, we have all seen, he has actually been running as an Ungba man. There are things I don't want to say. Yes, there are things I don't want to obviously say here. But the problem we have here is that the better politics, and which is not even part of our constitution, is beginning to play out. And I believe that people, what it takes to be a governor of a state, 1 is to be a citizen or an indigenous of that state. 2, and then in fact the constitution is already clear. So the question should be, Oti, is he an Abia? He's an Abia. Is he qualified to be there? He's qualified. But let us also remember that the zoning arrangement we're talking about, you understand, it's a PDP thing. And then the former governor said he has ended the zoning. And I don't know where that actually is leaving the states. And I'm envisaging, in the subsequent election we'll be having, this thing will still resurface.
Why not?
It will still resurface. And that is why I said, if you had been so meticulous, we would have said, since the Ngwa are in Abia Central, let them also have a turn there. If the Umuahia people do their own turn, when next it comes to that place, they should also be allowed to do, because we are talking about Osisioma, Ishalangwa North, and Ishalangwa South.
It's okay. Let's because of our time, let's take this final one before we go. The new governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, Olayemi Kadoso, has disclosed that money supply is behind the rising inflation in the country. Also, the new CBN team has disclosed that it will need to abandon some of the policies of its predecessor, led by Godwin Emefiele, and focus solely on monetary policy to strengthen the naira.
Yes.
Now, forgetting about the policies of Emefiele, indirectly they are suggesting MFL's policy has rather contributed to what we are passing through outside the new Naira design. Is there any other policy? Is there any other policy that have worked against?
Yes.
Okay.
The Anchors Brewers project.
Okay.
The CBN Act of 2007 is clear regarding what the CBN should be. CBN controls monetary policy, and by monetary policy we mean inflation, we mean foreign exchange, we also mean interest rates. The CBN, and I think they'll be having their meeting today. Monetary Policy Committee of the CBN, they will be meeting today. I think either yesterday or today to talk about. They will review everything that has been done in the past by MFL. Now I said MFL, the CBN has no business in giving farmers money. The CBN has no business in giving cooperatives money. The CBN has no business in creating or co-creating banks to say, this bank, we are using you to give farmers money to lend in the name of Anchors Brewers project. And at the end of the day, 1.1 trillion naira was given out of which about 400 billion or so had been recovered. Other ones we cannot account for them. That was West, and it happened under MFL. Then when you talk about the CBN, the role should be clear, and I did say it is monetary policy. It's different from fiscal policy. CBN controls the monetary policy, so should focus on that. Create a stable foreign exchange regime. Currently now, the president had floated the naira vis-a-vis the dollar, and when the naira has no defense, it fell, and the purchasing power is declining. Purchasing power parity is down. Now, people who are worst hit are manufacturers. They can no longer access the dollar to buy goods, which they will use for what as raw materials. I saw the release from Manufacturers Association of Nigeria, MAN. Then IPMAN is also complaining, independent petroleum marketers. The rise in dollar is making it difficult for them to do what? To purchase or to even import oil. You know what I'm saying now? So the people who will bear the burden of increase in price of food, increase in price of things like petrol, are people like us. So these are the things CBN should focus more on, not on intervention. But that's it again. I think there is something I want to say. It may be a bit diversionary, but then it's an observation I have made, personal observation. Tinubu is concentrating economic powers of these states in the hands of the Yorubas. And I'll say it. You see, you have Adedeji, who is in charge of Federal Inland Revenue Service. And that body is very instrumental in terms of taxation. All the taxes, royalties, they are in charge. Federal Inland Revenue is being controlled by that man. Then, the Nigerian customs too. You have I think controller is okay. Sorry, Adedeji is the customs. Now Zach is the one controlling the FIROS. Now we also have Minister of Finance coordinating. So the Minister of Finance coordinating the economy, Wale Edun. You understand? We also now have the CBN governor. All these people, yes, all these people are from one particular part of the country. When a particular part of the country controls both monetary and fiscal policy, is economic exclusion against others. And I will explain something to you. When you say fiscal policy, it has to do with taxation, budget, because we are looking at how the government makes money. The FIROS is already playing a very big role in terms of how the government does what? Makes money, generates money, revenue, to be able to do what? To present budgets. That's fiscal policy. Now, monetary policy, where they talk about inflation, interest rate, and the rest of them, to control this money that has been generated, is also being controlled by a particular part of the country. So, to me, it bodes ill, and it's not a reflection of the man they say we go out of his way to seek the best and then install capable hands. To me, the economic levers of this country are revolving within a particular tribe or geopolitical zone, and it is wrong. So that's it again. I think it is in the interest of this man to go to the drawing paper or to his drawing board and see what can be done to address one, foreign exchange instability, two, purchasing power decline, three, interest rates, because interest rate was actually reviewed some few months ago and increased by 21 to 25 points under Tinubu. Now, What can be done to ensure that the naira is stable vis-a-vis the dollar? It is the assignment.
All right. Having said this, and then remember, all Nigerians will also remember during the campaign, the president told us from his heart of hearts that he's going to continue from where Buhari stopped. And if you're talking about the whole thing, we also know that at a point the entire service chiefs came from a particular tribe.
Yes.
And then maybe that's what we are experiencing.
Yes, and if you look at the thing there, you see, the common denominator is all about background. Tinubu is said to be a financial account, is said to be an accountant, so he understands economy more than Buhari. Buhari is a military person. So Buhari's belief or assumption is that was that to remain relevant, he had to make sure his people control the military.
He uses
people to control military. Then we are talking about military and economic powers. So this person believes his people should control the economic power of the state to make him relevant. This other person believes believes his people should control the power. So it is the similarity there. And all right,
our great Nigerians are wonderful viewers, fans of living television. Well, I'm glad you've been there all through this program. We're happy to have you there, and I am also sure that you enjoyed every bit of this program, especially the analyst corner. I'm sure you enjoyed every bit of it. We'll be coming to the end of this program right away, and Comrade Nlc Tuc, we're pleased to have you here.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Today, this is your command, Chinedum Adiele, signing off and then wishing you the best. Today is Wednesday, and I'm sure by Friday we're going to come back again with issues of the moment. Keep watching Living TV until we come your way again. Bye for now.